Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another stream, and welcome back to another video, and welcome again to another video series. What are we doing? Well, as you can tell by this guy right up here, we're starting a new build. This is going to be the 1/48 scale ROKAF F-15K Slam Eagle. Okay, what does that all mean? Yes, it's an F-15, and it is an F-15K because it is a Korean variant of the F-15. So, 안녕하세요, 여러분, to all my Korean friends out there, let's get started. Okay. So, as you can see by this little pile of parts here, I've already kind of started getting into it because I have already opened the box. I've opened the box, I've gotten all the plastic off of all the sprues and getting prepared for this. Okay, I have the instructions out here, and I have some aftermarket stuff, not non-kit parts that are going to be going into this. Okay, I picked up a resin cockpit set for this. This one happens to be the Aries one. Aries, these guys here, Aries. Okay. Now, this is not actually for the Academy kit. Okay, this kit is made by Academy, and of course, Academy being a Korean modeling company, they make Korean planes, and that's really awesome, and I love that. After looking at all the stuff for the cockpit in this, I've decided all I'm going to use are the seats. The detail that's in the kit cockpit is good enough that I don't feel like I need to actually replace it with a resin actual cockpit. So I'm not going to be using all the stuff out of here. Okay, now that being said, here are the seats, the two seats, and it comes with some photo etch. So I've basically used up all the seat belts and a couple of pieces that go on the headrests. Now, I did want to show you guys the difference between the resin seats and the kit seats. I took one of the kit seats out and assembled it so you guys can take a look here. I'm going to show you guys. I'll go change the overhead cam here. Okay, I'll just put this aside for now. Yeah. So, we have a kit seat right there. Okay. And that's not bad. It actually has seat belts on it, hanging down, but it's got none that go on the actual bottom cushion here. There's no seat belts, right? So that's a little bit disappointing, but at least they took the effort to put the seat belts draping down over top there. That's a nice effort. Now, we compare that to one of the resin kits seats, and we've got much higher detail in the belts and the buckles and belts on the actual seat cushion at the bottom, all there. Now, one thing I did find, there's a couple of things, even just taking these resin seats out of the package, there was a couple of little pieces broken off of them, and that's the drawback to resin parts, right? Resin parts have super high detail for the most part, but they're a little brittle. The resin is brittle, and when you get to some really highly detailed stuff, it will have a tendency to break off, which I will show you on this particular seat. Okay, so on this guy, this piece right here, I had to replace it with the one off of the kit seat, as you can tell by the different color, and the ejection pull handles were actually broken off and so they were non-existent. They had broken off, and there just were a couple of little pieces, I guess, in the package, and that's it. And so I cut them off of the kit seats and glued them onto this one, and also this piece at the top here. The photo etch part just didn't do it any justice, and so I literally cut this off of the kit piece and glued it onto this seat. And I've done that on the other seat also with this particular part. On the other seat, this little guy here, he was broken off, so I'll show you. I cut that off and put that on this seat, as you can tell by the different color of it right there. Yeah, and of course I replaced that too on here. So yeah, you have to be a little bit careful when you're dealing with resin stuff. It's delicate, it can break easy, and then you're just using a lot of CA glue, and then it gets you know, yeah, you know what I mean. You wind up having to use a lot more glue than you want to, and now it looks like crap, and now it's your nice fine detail is no longer fine anymore. So it's a bit of a juggling act, I guess. Anyway, so that's the seats. I find it kind of interesting how much wider the kit seat is compared to the resin ones. But yeah, resin ones are nice. They look good. They got the belts on them. I like that. Okay. So what else have I got here? We have exhausts. Now, if any of you guys who know F-15s, you might know a little bit of history on them and why F-15s from the 80s, their engine nozzles look like this. But modern ones don't look like this at all. They look much, much different. And, well, there's a reason for that. So, the reason being, these fins, or I think they call them feathers actually, they wound up coming off quite often in flights. And the Air Force spend a lot of time and a lot of money replacing them constantly. So they did some research on it and found that if they just left them off, it didn't really change any of the flight characteristics of the plane. It didn't change the aerodynamics. All it did was increase the heat signature on the back of the plane a little bit. That's really all it did. So they decided to just leave them off. And so more modern F-15s don't have these, okay? And that's something that was a little bit disappointing about this particular kit, is that they don't have the more modern nozzles. So what do? Well, I bought this, and this is F-15 open nozzles for 148 by Res Kit, okay? And this happens to be for the Great West Hobbies kit, or GWH, okay? Now, guess what? The Great West Hobbies kit happens to be the same as the Academy kit, or at least within a millimeter. So, here they are, okay? Now these actually are an entire assembly. It starts off like this, and then you put this on, and there you go. There's your complete engine, okay? So I will switch the camera so you can get a better idea of what's going on here. Okay, so this is what you start off with. You get this guy. He's got lots of nice detail all the way around it, and you even got nice detail on the inside. On the inside edge there, it looks really nice. Okay, I don't know if the camera's really picking up on it, but you get the idea. It's a very nicely detailed thing. Now this comes with a big block on the end of it that you have to cut off, and once I got it there, you can see this thing, it matches almost perfectly it is actually maybe 1/2 millimeter wider. So how could I get rid of it? I could get that down a little bit more, but I feel like if I keep on trying to get that down, I might wind up getting it at a weird angle, and then that's just gonna suck. So I'm just gonna leave it the way it is. Yeah, so there's that. Okay, now it comes with all the little rods on here. You have to cut them all off. You get 2 of them, 1 for each nozzle. Okay, you got to cut all the little rods off, and then you glue them on all the way around. Okay, and that's what you get, all the little rods all the way around, and they're super nicely detailed in there. And yeah, it looks really good. So that's going to be really nice. Okay, inside your engine, the main thing there, you got all the little ribs inside, lots of detail in there. Of course, when it's all together, that's so dark in here, you're not really going to see it, so that's not really that big of an importance. And then we have our final engine. Hey, focus. We have our final engine thing like that. Okay, now I've already painted those fins silver to give it a little bit of detail in the back, because it comes with a couple of other parts that all go in there and sandwich all together, and that's your final result of your come on, there we go, of your engine, just like that. Now that looks really cool. Okay, so it's got a nice little notch. It lines up like that, and then I've put 2 lines on this just for reference, so I know which nozzle to put on, because there is a little tab there. Hey, come on, focus please. There is a little tab right here. It goes into a little notch right there, so it lines up. It doesn't quite fit, and click, there we go, and we're in. And there's our nozzle. Looks pretty cool with the gold in there. It's too bad that's not going to stay gold. But anyway, so that's that. Now for the cockpit details, if you guys have watched me, you know I don't like painting dials and switches and buttons and stuff like that, because I really suck at it, and they don't look realistic, and I don't like that. And so what I do is I get stuff like this. This is an Eduard 1/48 scale F-15K interior, so this actually is made for this kit. Okay, and we get some nice detail for our cockpit. Okay, comes with instructions on where each piece goes, and all you do is you just cut them off here. They are sticky, so that's why it's on this paper that's self-adhesive. Okay, but you get one chance at it, really. You take them off there, you put it down, you're done, just like that. Okay, and so that's that. Okay, so that's about wraps it up for the extra detail stuff that I'm going to be doing on this kit. Is the different nozzles. I wanted to put modern exhaust nozzles on it, and just better detail in the seats. And of course the interior panels, I always like to use those pieces on these kits because, well, I'm not good at painting all those tiny little buttons and switches and stuff like that, and they don't, when I'm done, they don't look all that great. So back to the seats. The seats come with nice instructions. Well, the whole cockpit comes with the nice instructions on where all the photo etch parts go, how to put the seat belts, and where to loop all your stuff through. It's a bit of a process, right? It's photo etch seat belts. They're not just a thing with a buckle. You literally lace the strap through the buckle and have that. on these, which is, it's nice, highly detailed like that, realistic. But you need good tweezers. I lost a couple of pieces to tweezer fire, where you just pick it up and all of a sudden it goes ping and it's just disappeared, and I don't know where it went. But yeah, so that's that. So these engines have been sitting here for a while now, and I'm going to show you guys how to put them together. Okay, they can also come with nice instructions on which pieces go where. Okay, obviously because I have one assembled already, I already have taken them off of the photo etched part that they come on. I have them all sitting in here. Okay, so that's what we're going to do now. I have already assembled the one that goes on the what do they call it, the flame holder. Okay, so you can see by that nice little reflective brass piece there, it's already on there. Okay, and then I've got these two rings here and here that have to go in, and I've got all my little rods that go all the way around the nozzle. So I'm going to get my CA glue, which I think is finally on its last legs. I find it very thick, and it takes a long, it's no longer really fast drying glue anymore. It takes, like, if I leave that, now that I've poured that into that little thing, I can actually come back to this an hour from now and it won't be dry. that's how this has become. It's no longer, I actually have to use my Instaset to actually get it to dry. If I want it to dry within a couple of minutes. So yeah, it's no longer really fast drying glue. Okay, so we're going to take this. Now the first part is this guy here, and he has to sit down on this one little ledge in here, and then this one comes up and he sits on an upper ledge. Okay, now they are just big enough that they do just barely fit down in there. So I'll show you just as a test fit. If I can get this up again. It just kind of barely, if you don't get it perfect, it won't go all the way down, but it does eventually. It's there you go. So there's that one, and then this one is going to come in and go down. It doesn't quite go all the way down because it sits on the next ledge up like that. So I'll show you on the other cam. Sorry, I forgot to change it. Okay, so that's how they're going to sit. One sits lower than the other. You can see by the angle there. Okay, and that's how they go. So let's do that. Let's get some glue. And let's just put it around that little edge. Obviously you don't need a lot, because once it's in there, it's basically never going to be touched again. Might get some paint on it when we go to paint this thing, but that's about it. So I think 2 or 3 spots is more than enough. There we go. Just gonna do that a little bit just to kind of work it around and spread the glue out and get it on spots that maybe it didn't get to. There we go. Okay. Now we'll put some glue on the next level. That's good enough for that. Okay. There we go. And there we go. So then, the next thing is this guy. Okay. Oh, hey, Nico. Welcome back. Love the detail sets. Make life so much easier, and it looks absolutely brilliant. Yes, I agree. I agree. Okay. So these guys, this guy has 4 little fins that stick out farther than the rest. And that's where you have to line them up into these 4 little slots. Okay? If you don't have it right, it won't fit down flush. Okay? So in test fitting, I shouldn't have a problem with fitment on this. I say shouldn't. As you guys know, sometimes when it comes to finally have time to put the glue on, that's when suddenly things don't want to fit together. And it kind of sucks, but that's the way it goes sometimes. Okay. So, you can kind of feel just by picking it up which ones are longer than the others. So I am going to grab it right here. Try and get that lined up right there. When you get it lined up, it should just kind of fit right down in there and sit. And that's perfect. The center does raise up just a little bit higher, but that's it. Okay, so now that I've got it all glued in, I'm going to use my Instaset just to help the process in curing. There we go. And there I've got it all glued together. Just like the other side. Okay? And we'll do a test fit here just to make sure I've got it all lined up. And yes, it all fits nice and flush. So we are good. That's going to be great. Okay, when it comes time to assemble. I do want to paint the gray, should be black, on this piece. I'm going to leave the rest of it gray because I like the fact, and I don't want to paint the brass. I want to keep that so that it kind of visually pops when you actually look down the nozzle, right? Okay, speaking of nozzles, I've got all those little fins to put on this. Okay, and as tedious as it is, that's what I want to do today. I want to get these done so that I can actually paint them. Speaking of painting, these seats are ready to be hit with a coat of Mr. Finisher. Another thing I've been finding with my glue being getting old is it doesn't like to actually stick, and I find, okay, I've got it glued on, and then I'm gluing something else on, and the piece I just glued on a day ago pops off. And of course there are some very, very small ones. I had to find this one in the carpet. It took me a day. I literally gave up on it, and then the next day I found it. It was gleaming in the carpet, just a particular angle. And yeah, that sucks. So anyway, I got all these guys in here. And so we have to get a little glue. They go in between this piece here and then that piece right there. a little too much on there. So then we grab one of these and they go kind of vertically. They literally just go like that. It's just like that, and that's it. So I'll bring that up on the camera so you can see. Just it's like that. I actually have it upside down, so that's wrong. Let's try this again. There. So that's how it goes. Like that. So it is important to have it the right way around. I feel like having taken it off of there, I now don't have a glue that I need on there. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to take my glasses off so that I can see these better, and I will continue. There we go. Would love to see more brands including such detailed sets. What comes in the box isn't always that nice, like the decals looking flat and no details. Yeah, sometimes, you know, you kind of have to take that with a grain of salt, right? If companies started actually adding more detailed like this, well, next thing you know, a $50 kit is now a $100 kit, and now it's not necessarily affordable to most people, right? And so by having an aftermarket detail set, that gives you the option as to whether or not you're going to spend the extra money on it. Because, you know, the kid who's just getting into the hobby doesn't necessarily have the extra money to spend, but just wants to have a cool looking model. Whereas the enthusiast is willing to spend that extra money to buy the upgrade. Like, as a 17-year-old kid wanting to build an F-15 model, I'm perfectly happy with the detail that the kit has. And only spending the 60 bucks or whatever it costs on the kit, buying a can of spray paint for, you know, $7 or $8, and building the kit and say, hey, I have a cool F-15 model. Of course, as an old guy like me, I'm willing to spend the extra money to buy some photo etch, to order some resin stuff, and add that extra detail. I mean, for me, I would have been happy just without these nozzles if they had been done in the kit. But I wanted to actually have modern nozzles on it. And so this was really my only option. Okay, I agree. I hope kids don't buy a Tamiya kit for their first kit, although they are the most well-fitting kits out there. Yeah, when I was a kid, I couldn't afford Tamiya kits. Their price range was way out of my league when I was a teenager. I used to look at, I mean, we're going back quite a ways now. The Tamiya 148 scale F-14, the F-14A, that kit was like the, I don't know, it was like the pinnacle of Tamiya kits back in the 80s. That was like my dream kit, I guess you could say. I wished I could afford one. But a model kit that costs over $100 back then, even in the 80s, was just unthinkable. And so I never had one. I would have loved to have one. And that was even before Top Gun came out. I just thought the F-14 was cool because its wings swept back. We're almost there, only 3 to go. Two more. My mistake. This is the last one. I am pleasantly surprised to find that they have given me extras. There we go. I've got them all set and they're all in. And I have like 2, 4, I got 6 extra ones. So that's fantastic. So if I lose any of them, that's great. Now, one thing I did find when I was getting them off of these things, Tomcats will be there forever. Even the kits are upgrading, so it can only get better. Yeah. When I was taking them off of this, I found I had a couple of them kind of break off a little bit, and thinking that I wasn't going to have any extras, I used them anyway, even though it's a little bit shorter. So if you can take a look at that, you can see this guy is a little bit shorter than the other ones. So I put them on there anyway, thinking not realizing I actually had extras. So I should be able to just get rid of that, and I can replace them with a proper length one. Of course, that one's a little short too. Let's try this one. There we go. Full length. Perfect. All right. We have this guy. You're going to get replaced. Alright, I got another guy here who's short, so he can come off. Perfect. And I got one more right here. He felt like he wasn't even glued on. we go. Come on. Got glue on my tweezers. There. Alright, so now we have all perfect lengths. That is fantastic. I'm happy with that. Well, hello, social all-threean. My little pin just came off of my tweezers, so I gotta glue that back on unexpectedly. Yes, the Tomcats, they are one of the super iconic planes. You know, everybody loves the Tomcats, but you know, they are obsolete when it comes to modern day stuff, right? That's something we have to admit. At the end of the day, they are obsolete. The avionics in them are old school, and it's why they got replaced by the F-18s, right? So I have one extra and a bunch of short ones. The short ones I don't like, so I am actually going to throw these ones away. Okay, and if I lose any of them, then I lose them, right? It's just the way it is. So I have one spare. I'm going to put this in there. And I'll get rid of that. My photo etch little sheet I don't need anymore. This is all garbage. You know, yeah, there's a tendency, oh, I might be able to use that for something later. And then I wind up keeping it forever and I never use anything. And that's just the way it is. Oh, hey, Make a Boy. Nice to see you again. Okay, so those are done. Got that glued on again. I want to throw some Mr. Surfacer on my seats. So I'm going to use a little bit of my blue tack. You guys haven't seen me use this stuff before. I don't use this stuff very often because my alligator clips usually do the job. But I don't want to have to grab the seat anywhere with the alligator clip. So I'm just going to use the blue tack and just do that. And yeah, and it'll be happy. Another reason why I don't use the blue tack that often is because it's kind of single use, and I don't like that. I like to be able, something that's going to cost me money like this stuff, I want to be able to use it more than once. And this stuff is basically single use, and so that's why I use it sparingly. Now I could have also used a much smaller piece, but it is what it is. And I just broke that thing off. See? See how delicate that is? That piece that I added on there just broke off. Good thing I got the glue out already. Let's glue that back on. Stupid thing. Okay. Oh, hey, don't fall over. See what I mean about my glue not not working like it should. There we go. Let's get this so it stays in place. There we go. Got it in the wrong spot. Shit. Okay. Time for another idea. I need to not use that. This is kind of a very sharp edge, and I need to make it a flat edge to give it a place to sit. Because where it broke off is an extremely, it's like a knife edge. So it doesn't have any place to actually sit on it. So that like that. Again, this is one of those things where how much glue you need to use to get it to actually hold. You're going to use so much glue that you lose the detail and it just looks like a blob of glue there. Then again, with a piece like this, how important is it? Since then we only had the F-18 upgraded, and then the almighty F-16, the F-22, which no one's talking about anymore, And now we have the F-35C, which is the best, in my opinion. In the next few years, we are converting the F-16 to the F-35C. I live a few miles from the airbase here. Can't wait for the brutal sound and shattering glass. Yeah. Yeah, see, from what I've read online, the F-22 is the superior plane. It's a superior plane to the F-35. But the cost, the maintenance cost on the F-22 is so high in comparison to the F-35, and that's why the US stopped making them. They are still the superior plane. It's just better. And there's a reason why the US doesn't sell a single F-22 to anyone in the world. They are literally keeping them for themselves. There's a reason for that, I imagine. And that's why they're selling F-35s to anybody who buy them. At least, you know, at least NATO countries anyway. But yeah, it's the F-35, they just built it to be a little bit more versatile in its roles, right? It can do bombing runs and stuff like that. And the F-22 is an air superiority plane, not meant to do bombing runs and stuff like that. And of course has like incredible stealth and blah 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 and all the stuff that it can do, and the thrust vectoring and all that stuff that, you know, everybody talks about how great the F-22 is when it comes to that stuff. But yeah, I watch a channel on YouTube, Growling Sidewinder. He does a lot of DCS stuff, doing dogfights and BVR fights and stuff, comparing different planes and stuff like that. And the F-22 is just, it dominates in every aspect. And it's kind of crazy. Okay, so we have one ejection seat that you guys can no longer see any detail on because it's all black. Put that there. This should be okay now to paint. Putting it on a little thicker than I normally would, but it's just because I need to get in at every possible angle on there to get it all done. So there we go. We got our seats. Those are done. Okay. Now I kind of want to go in a little bit on here before I actually glue them in, just because getting in there and it. Now, that being said, you know, I've got the Mr. Surfacer 1500 in the bottle. I could thin this out 50-50 and throw it in the air gun and spray it in like that in the airbrush and do it like that. But I've got this, so I'll just do that. And I don't want to paint my hands any more than they already are. So I'll just grab this here at the edge and kind of hit it at different angles and get in there. Pretty much, you know, get it at this angle and then come in from the back, and pretty much got it all in there. So that's all right. I am going to do that's the front. So I'm going to do these by hand. I'll paint that by hand because I don't want to get paint on the brass parts. I think I painted this one on the outside just as much as the inside. Okay, that's those. I'm gonna wait till it's all together before I paint these, I think. Actually, now that I think about it, maybe not. Well, see, I don't want to grab it here with the thing, and if I put the alligator clip, one thing the F-35 has that is a VTOL, yeah, that's the what is that one, the F-35B? I know there's 3 variants of the F-35. A is the attack version, B is the bomber, and then C is a carrier version. I think it's a C actually that has the VTOL capability, which is why the Navy didn't want F-22s, because to convert them to either have the wings be able to fold up like that, like a lot of the carrier planes do, to be able to fit more on the deck, was just, the cost was way too high, and of course the maintenance on the F-22 is through the roof. Just even keeping the special coatings on the paint, every time they fly them, they start to wear off, to keep it as stealthy as it is. So the maintenance on the F-22 is just so high that's why they stopped making them, right? And the Navy didn't want them because they're just too expensive. So I can put more of my tack into that, and then I never have to worry about that. Or I can just grab this like that. It is only one panel. What I'll do is I'll do this in 2 coats. One coat, I'm going to obviously miss that spot, but then when I do the second coat, I'll move it over to a different spot. And that's how I'm going to solve that problem. The Raptor has the looks. Can't disagree. Yeah, Raptor's got the looks. Yeah, they do. They have a nickname for the F-35. It's not very flattering. I think they call him Fat Amy or something like that. For the F-35s, I think that's what they call them. It's not very nice if you're a girl named Amy and you happen to be overweight. But I think that's the nickname that they gave him. Fat Amy. I could be wrong. It's Fat something. And it's a girl's name, I know that. Okay, so there's our exhaust nozzles all primered black. The nozzles are basically, I got spray paint all over my fingers now. That's why you should wear gloves when you spray paint, kids. So you don't want to wind up like that. You should also wear a mask and goggles and all that stuff. Safety, safety first. Yeah. Okay, so these are done. These parts, from what I've seen in reference photos, as the engines get further back like this, to the actual flame, these things don't have a lot of different detail. It's basically at the nozzles where you get that white coloring that comes out. Back here there really isn't any. So I might just leave these the way they are. Just black rings that you're never really going to see very much. I mean, you know, if I change the camera and do this and show you, you might be able to see in different, as the light hits it a little bit, you might be able to see the rings inside. Get a little bit right there, okay? So you can see those rings. See all that detail in there, okay? Now that happens to be the very back. I throw this on there, and now you're looking down the barrel. Other than all that detail at the very back with the brass, you don't see any detail on the sides. It's basically gone, right? Now you throw a nozzle on there, and it's gone even more. I don't care how they call them. Wouldn't want to see it in my rear mirror. Yeah, you don't want to be on the receiving end of any American warplane. That's for sure. But now again, a lot of the modern aircraft, like the F-22s and the F-35s, you don't even have him on your radar and he's shooting at you, right? Because of their stealth capabilities. They're not even appearing on your radar and they're firing missiles at you. So you wouldn't even have them in your mirror. And you're already getting shot in the face with a missile. Or, well, I guess wouldn't be in the face, would it? Be up your butt. Anyway, yeah. So that's that. Okay, so I don't really need my instructions for my nozzles anymore. Okay. But yeah, shows you how to put it all together. If you do buy this kit, it comes with the instructions. So yeah, I do recommend it. Res kit. This one happens to be the RSU 48-103. It's that one right there. Okay, that's the kit, late version. This kit is for the Great West Hobbies. They do have kits for the Tamiya ones, and there is a third kit for an F-15C, a 148 scale. Maybe it's Hasegawa. That Res kit makes the different nozzles, and really the only difference is the length of the thing inside and the diameter. That's really all it is. The diameter is what's the important part, because you want that to be the perfect diameter for actually when you put it on there. It doesn't. You don't want it too big. You don't want it too small. It should be flush, right? And that's the main thing. And that's what I love about this, is the fact that it is maybe half a millimeter, and all I'm going to have to do is line it up at the top, and so the difference will be underneath, and you're never going to notice it. And that's what I love about that. Okay, sir, need to go now. Thanks for the chat and the video. We'll follow you on YouTube as usual. Thank you. And keep on building. You're good at it. Thank you. Thanks again, Nico. Awesome. Okay, so as you can see, I now have a little spot there, so I need to move this around. Bingo. And I'll just hit that with some paint so that I'm not going to have a spot that's been missed. And I'll do the same with this one. Just like that. Okay, where did my paint go? Might as well do it all with a second coat. Why not? Why not? Why not? for the nozzles, these things pretty much don't need to be painted any more than this. They will get a bit of a, see, they don't need to really be painted more than that. That's pretty much good. If they were to stay that level of glossy, I'd be happy with that, and I don't have to do anything more, right? Don't really have to do anything more with that. And look at reference photos of F-15 nozzles, exhaust nozzles, and they're pretty much just black. Maybe with a slight little variation in maybe a couple of the fins, you might see that tiny little bit of, you know, heat bluing a little bit, but it's very, very, very subtle. And so I'm not really going to have to do that and worry about that. Okay. I want to check something here before I continue on. Yeah, okay. I might not have any time to do anything with the interior. The first step, obviously, is the cockpit for actual assembly on this thing. We have our seats already. We don't have to worry about that right now. Let's take a look at our cockpit tub, okay? So we got to find our D. The first thing is to grab our D. Where's my D? Where's my D? There it is. Okay. Here's our cockpit tub. So let's get that off of here. Okay, so we need that, and we need J off of our J3, and we're gonna be it's gonna be different depending on whether we have the cockpit, the canopy open or closed. This is another thing that I find cool about the Academy kits, especially because I'm trying to learn Korean. You guys are watching me, you know, every now and then, and you know, I do a greeting in Korean and stuff like that. Say hello to my Korean friends. I'm trying to learn it a little bit and trying to learn some Korean, but it's cool that they actually have Korean in the instructions. So it's like, oh, look at that. This is Naechok. Naechok. Naechok means inside. So I can learn Korean just by looking and reading the instructions. Not that any of you guys care about that, but yeah, it's a little thing I think is cool. So I need J31 and J32 and maybe D6? I don't know. Let's take a look at these. So this is our D tree, and we have different variations of our panels. This is kind of interesting. So obviously what Academy does is they print off these with the same things because it's going to be different kits. So maybe they have an F-15E kit and they're just using the same molds. So that's D6. I need J32 and J31. See, J32 is different and J31. Where's my J tree? Is this J? Yes, J. Okay. So there's J31. J31 is for the pilot. Okay. And J32 is for the Wizzo. But what they're doing is giving me options for some reason. Giving me options here. If the canopy is open, to use this one, and if the canopy is closed, to use this one. But they actually look like, no, they're not the same part. They are actually different. They've got different molding here in this spot. I'll show you on the other camera here, so you can go in. Where are we here? Okay. Try and show you side by side here. I'm not sure why they're wanting to do this. I'll have to look at it. Okay. So, just grab something here. Right there and there. They're different. And I don't know why. Why they're different, I don't know. J31 is going to be the same, regardless. But, as I showed you guys earlier, I'm using this in the back, or on them. So I need to determine, I'm basically going to be sanding all of these panels and just making it smooth, and you're not going to see them anyway because it's all going to be done with these, and these are actually going to be built up into three-dimensional layers, just as these are molded in a three-dimensional layer. So we're going to go from perfectly flat smooth to having a piece on there and then more pieces lined up and build up layers of 3D etching as we go. And so that's that. And yeah, so it's a little bit strange. So what they're showing here for the F-15K interior, it doesn't matter which one we're going to be using, because it's going to wind up being like this one, I believe, or maybe this one. It's going to be like this one. So yeah, it's not going to really matter. And so basically what I'm going to be doing, taking my file and just doing this and filing it all super smooth, getting rid of all that detail on there, and just file it down. And what that's going to do is give me a flat surface for this stuff to stick to, right? And that's that. So that's a lot of work I'm going to be doing on there. It's going to take some time, and I don't have time today to just sit here and do this. I have to do the same thing with our panels on here, okay, except for our throttle controls. Those stay, okay, because they actually have holes in these little panels for that stuff, okay. And that's that. And same with this panel back here. It looks like it's going to stay. Let's have a look at the instructions for these. So they give us nice detailed instructions on how to build up the parts. So I'll go to this here. Okay. So they give us nice detailed instructions on how to take the kit part. This is J31. File everything off of it, and we're going to take this piece, and it goes on here. This piece goes on top of this. We've got our little what do you want to call them, outlines of the different gauges. This is for the Wizzo. They want you to use D6, okay, which doesn't really matter. Put this piece on, fold these back around, you put these on over the gauges. Another piece here, and we go down to our panels on the tub for D28, which is this. We got our front. Okay, so get rid of all that stuff and all that. Put this down over top. Put this down over top. They actually are going to be replacing the throttle on the front with this, and then using a piece of plastic rod as our throttle, like that. And same thing with here. We got our joystick control that's going to be sticking up there. And back here, well, so I was wrong. I am actually going to be getting rid of these throttle controls. Zing, 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 they're gone. And so yeah, there you go. And then on the back we've got for the interior on the sides, putting a couple of parts in for details on the actual inside of the fuselage along the sides. So they show you how to take them off of the photo etch sheet and all that stuff. So yeah. And so that is that, and that's for these. Okay, so we're getting started. It's going to be a bit of a process, but that's the way it is. And so yeah, that's about it. I got a bunch of sanding to do, and I got a little bit of painting. I'm going to paint in on here all the way around. All that gray is going to be black. I'm just going to paint that regular black. Once that's painted, I'll put these together. They go just like that, and that's done. Okay, and that'll be done. Then put the nozzle on, and that'll be it for that. And then sand all this smooth, get ready for these. Do that to the front and the back for the pilot and the Wizzo, and that's it. And file all these down, and that's gonna take some time, but I gotta get going. So that's gonna be it for today. So I want to thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Nico, for the chat. And yeah, so if you haven't already, head on over to my YouTube and, you know, check out my channel on YouTube, and check out my Instagram. I post up still pictures of all the builds and everything that I do on my Instagram, and so you can check those out if you like, see if you like them. And yeah, head over to my YouTube, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and if you're watching on YouTube, head over to my Twitch and follow me on Twitch, and you can chat with me just like Nico did, and make a boy. And yeah, so yeah, so that's about it. That's part one for this build anyway. We're gonna get started and get to it. And thank you guys for watching. Thanks for coming out. And yeah, we'll see you all in the next one.